was one of the most upsetting things about the ban with View and with Showcase. Because it really felt like, is anyone watching this film? They were blaming Blue Story for the violence that was going on in the film and saying, you know, that's why we're cutting it from the cinema. But it's like, has anyone actually seen what the moral of this story is? Like, this does not encourage people to get involved in violent crime. It shows that it will take everything from you. It will take away your future, it will take away your family, it will take away your hopes, your dreams, your loved ones. My name is Sophie Hannah and this is the CINE CHIC, and today I'm going to be talking about much controversied Blue Story. It's not a word, but you know the controversy that's been happening. I saw this film a couple of days ago and since then it has just broken out in the media in terms of View banning the film, Showcase banning the film, but it is now back in cinemas. It is a film that was put together by Rapman, who is a rapper, writer, producer, film director. You might have known him from the online series Shiro Stories, which was a trilogy that he put together. Now, my first thoughts on Blue Story I'm going to see is that I was honestly very impressed by it. I really enjoyed the film and I'm going to tell you why now. Obviously beginning firstly with the plot. Now, the story is about two rival gangs in South London, Deptford and Peckham, or Pecknam as they refer to it. And apparently these are two gangs that are in existence, were in existence, that Rapman was talking about, because he did actually write this film, he executive produced it and he directed it. So he has a lot of involvement throughout it. So it's about these two rival gangs, and specifically two young boys called Timmy and Marco, who get caught up in this gang life. Now, they have kind of links to it because of the areas where they live, but their lives take very different turns and it really follows their story throughout. I don't want to give away too much. I just feel like it's a good story, so I don't want to give too much, but that's what it's about. The number one pro for me would have to be just relevance, just how relevant this film is. And it's really shown because in the film there is footage from real life violent crimes that are happening, but this is a problem that is happening, and not just in London and not just with young black men, but this is a problem that is happening, and it really shows how violent crime affects everybody, not just the victims, not just the survivors, but the families and just everyone around it. My second pro would have to be the actors. So I think Timmy and Marco. Timmy was played by Stephen Odubola and Marco was played by Michael Ward, and they really are so central to this film. Like, even though there's lots of other characters going on around, it really is following these two boys' stories, and they were just so strong in the film. Like, you really felt for them on the ups and downs, and I really loved that they weren't painted as one-dimensional characters. And that really comes onto another pro, which is the script and the way this was written. But the characters, they have their light and their shade, their ups and their downs. They're like real people. You feel for them, you dread, you hate some of the things that they do, but that's people. That's life. I'd have to say the rest of the supporting cast as well. Just such a variety of actors who I'm really glad to see so many black actors within the UK and actresses really brought to the forefront in this film, really showing what great talent that we have. And the last pro that I talked about like literally a couple of seconds earlier is the plot. Now, the film is about 90 minutes long, which isn't long. That's kind of like the standard bottom end time of a running film, but this film, like, it felt longer than it was, but in a good way. It just felt like there was so much story, and I just didn't know what was coming next. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like, where is this gonna go? What's gonna happen? I felt these were boys that I could have known in school, boys that you see around the way. It just felt like it was gritty and raw and just real to like that street life and how people really interact in those kind of environments and in those areas where they live. And for me, that definitely gives a credit to Rapman, who did a really good piece of art here, and that's what it was. It was a piece of art. Also, yes, Rapman and his rapping in the film. So there are 3 specific songs or segments within the film where he comes in and he kind of spits a few bars over the film or the scenes that are going on, and I think they've really punctuated the film really well. It's a really clever way to get across what's going on in a short space of time. But I think it also made it very much like a musical or an opera, would I say, to kind of have, and it's rap music, so it's not going to be the standard form of what you would expect in musical theatre, unless we're talking about Hamilton. But apart from that, you don't really see rap music used as a means to kind of punctuate and to overlay a story in order to kind of bring it more to life in musicals, but it's used here and it's used very well. Now, in terms of the cons, so con number 1 for me would be, in the second half of the film, I felt that some of the characters that we'd met during the first half of the film, I really wish we'd have been able to see what their story was. I think also there were some plot holes. I think one significant one that I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna say what it was, but a character was introduced and I was kind of like, well, where did they come from? who's this? Okay, we're told who they are. You're like, oh, that's really random that they've been brought in. Like, I think they could have been mentioned in the first half of the film so that you could really feel like, oh yeah, that's that person that they were talking about. Okay, it makes sense. They were kind of like feeding it in so that we know who they are now. But these are very small things for a film that was genuinely very good. Now, in terms of the themes, number one would have to be violent crime, and it wasn't just a blanket theme. I think they really explored it. Ratman really explored it so well. You just saw that violent crime touches so many people. It ruins friendships because there are these two boys who grow up as friends but then become rivals in rival gangs. So they start as friends and it ends friendships, it ends innocence. So boys aren't allowed to be children anymore. They have to become adults and deal with very difficult and hard situations that no child should ever have to deal with. And violent crime does that, and it brings out the worst in people. And also that violent crime is just perpetuated. There is no real end to it. Like, violence begets violence. It's gonna go on. Retaliation. If something happens to one person, there is no end to the retaliation cycle. And I think that was one of the most upsetting things about the ban with View and with Showcase, because it really felt like, is anyone watching this film? They were blaming Blue Story for the violence that was going on in the film and saying, you know, that's why we're cutting it from the cinema. But it's like, has anyone actually seen what the moral of the story is? Like, this does not encourage people to get involved in violent crime. It shows that it will take everything from you. It will take away your future, it will take away your family, it will take away your hopes, your dreams, your loved ones. And that's why I think it's so good, I think, the social media pressure that's been put on, because I think this is a necessary film to watch, because it shows that the people behind violent crimes are people. They can be shown to be, you know, villains and monsters, and some of the things that people do are absolutely terrible, but they are still someone's brother, sometimes someone's father, sometimes someone's friend. And violent crime takes away their humanity a lot of the time, but somebody loved them, somebody cared about them. And this film really shows that there are human faces behind the people who get involved in this. And I really hope it does encourage people to not take this way of life. I really hope it does. I think another theme that the film does talk about as well is the societal problems surrounding violent crime. So poverty and the lack of opportunity that really can feed into violent crime. When people feel like there is nothing else for them to do, when they have no hope, or people forgotten by society, places that people don't really care about. This is something that we shouldn't be turning a blind eye to in society. It's not something that only a few people are dealing with, because people are dealing with this from Scotland right the way down into the south. So I really like that it highlighted, for me anyway, that this is a problem that we should all be thinking about. It's something that there is no easy cure for. A chicken box story of stabbing is not going to solve it, but I really hope that this film continues the conversation for that, continues the conversation for change. Now, in terms of ratings, I like to rate my films according to burgers because I love them. And out of a total of 5 burgers, I would give Blue Story 3.5 burgers. I think it was a very good film. It's one that I have recommended to people. I think it's gotten a lot of stigma. I mean, sometimes I think some people feel like it's played into the narrative of black people in gangs, and because there is, black people, we're not a monolith. We have people who are involved in violent crimes, we have people who are middle class, we have people who are doctors and lawyers and all these things. We have such a wide variety, but I know some people felt that this film is playing into the narrative that sometimes society wants to give us, that we're violent, that we're thugs, that we're this, that we're that. But I would recommend to go and see this film. Whatever it might be stopping you from getting to the cinema, go and see it. And I'm definitely one to support black British talent in front of the camera and behind, as Blue Story is. So get out and watch this film. I like to end my vlogs on a film question, and I guess because this is a black British film, I would say, what is your favourite black British film? Please let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there also, don't forget to press the red button and subscribe to my channel so you can see all of the films that I'm watching this year. I said I was going to watch 100 films in 2019 and I have been killing it, if I do say so myself. I really have. So I've been sitting down watching all these crazy Netflix films. I'm currently at 73 films, so I have 27 films left to go in 2019. So follow my journey as I continue to do that. But until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon.